Hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about a real fun topic before lunch. So we're going to really talk about the best of breeds of both worlds, where we talk about both DevOps and IoT. So a little bit about me. As she said, I am the Agile coach and practice leader at Matrix Resources in San Francisco. I also am a part-time instructor for UC Berkeley Extension for their Agile project management program. I am speaking at Agile 2016 on DevOps as well as Agile strategy and leadership, which are my specialties. So a little bit about today. Like I said, our talk is going to be a little bit fun, a little bit light before lunchtime, and it's really going to just go over the background of how important the Internet of Things is to technology today, the trends that it's following and going towards, and how DevOps and Internet of Things together can really produce some great results and some really forward thinking and improvements in productivity for DevOps. And then finally, we'll get into happy and healthy, where we can talk about how you would get into a place of happiness in your environments by actually promoting the use of Internet of Things more into your DevOps delivery cycle. So with that, so the future of the Internet of Things. So 212 billion total number of available sensor objects by 2020. That's quite a bit. Along with 30 billion sensor-enabled objects connected to networks by 2020, and then also $73 trillion by 2017. So the figures are really, a huge statistic, right? So the growth of the use of Internet of Things is really going to grow and explode. So what does that mean? Well, the first thing it means is that there's going to be a lot more data. And data can actually be really good for DevOps because it can help both the DevOps engineers as well as leadership really react and respond to changes and different things that go on into the environment. And of course, the world of analytics will change too, because there's going to be so much more data to end up crunching that analytics is going to just have to go, really very extreme. So big data analytics is going to be huge for DevOps as it explodes. So really, in a connected world where everything's connected, because now we're all connected. Not only are we connected on our laptops, we're connected on our watches, we're connected on our phones, we're connected throughout our homes, for those of you who have starting to incorporate smart homes. So more and more things are getting connected, and as I said, that will continue to grow. So what that means is, you really need a binder to keep the connections in place, and that's why the different APIs are also important. So not only is the data important, but also the APIs and the connectivity of all of these worlds. So the DevOps tool chain, so how is that important to DevOps? So we know we've got the build processes, which the build processes have the code, the building, the test, and the packaging. We've got the release, where you're actually releasing into the environment. And then you've got the operations, where you're now just monitoring and going on. So as we know, that's the basic DevOps operations. And so when you do blend Internet of Things and DevOps, now it's similar because you're focusing on people, processes, and technology, because you're interested in knowing not only how the environment is doing, but also how the people are doing, right? How they're doing on their watches. Or you can leave them hands-free, or have the ability to actually be driving or doing other things while they're doing their work. So it actually does help to empower people, and it does help to promote and build a happier environment. It also helps promote transparency and visibility, again, by the use of a lot of different devices and a lot of different things. You have a lot more transparency and visibility in your environment, and you have a lot better data and analytics. And then also promoting collaboration, because you're able to share data in between people with all different kinds of devices and things. And so it does promote collaboration, which is a core DevOps value. And then again, sharing data, as I talked about, so the sharing of data is important in the cloud, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And then also the ability to gather complex analytics. So as the exponential growth of DevOps goes through the roof, you will, again, have to have the ability to gather all that data, slice and dice it, and really provide something meaningful so that not only engineers can act on it, but executives. So really, DevOps and IoT together is an ecosystem. So again, it brings a happy place by having everybody and everything connected. So as I said, the people, processes, and tools are all in an ecosystem. And so you have your IT culture, you have your agile development, and you have your DevOps all together. And they do have, again, all the same values: collaboration, transparency, and visibility, and again, the ability to respond a lot faster and build a happy culture. So what does that mean? DevOps, right, and IoT, right? Happy and healthy here. So how can the Internet of Things enhance a DevOps culture? So what we have here, the world of Agile. So again, the values of Agile: collaboration, value on people, and rather than processes. So, and DevOps. So again, you're building cultures of DevOps where the importance of having the collaboration, the importance of really having a culture where everyone shares and participates is enhanced by using Internet of Things. And then again, it's data-driven. So again, you have a lot more data. It's a lot more responsive. It gives you more time for innovation. So think about that. When you actually have a more efficient environment that's less siloed and actually more efficient by using different devices as additional tools, you have more time for innovation. So now companies that are innovative now can focus on having the next wave of innovation and bringing new and innovative products in the system so they can remain competitive and be first in the market. And then sharing and learning. So again, you have a lot easier access to do sharing and learning. And fun, so you can have a lot more fun by using devices. And again, having the business acumen, having the data, the dashboards, all of that sort of thing. And so it builds a whole large culture, and it does help, again, to promote all the values of both Agile and DevOps. So again, DevOps and IoT. So happy and healthy. So what we've got here is connectivity. So connectivity across people, processes, and tools. We've got the Internet of Things in the middle. We've got mobility, right? So you've got more mobile devices. You've got your phones. You've got your watches. You've got your Google Glasses. You've got all of your mobile stuff so that you can be doing lots more things on the go. And here's your smartwatches. You're happy. And DevOps all together. So happy and healthy really means the blend of all of these things together, and really it helps companies be happy and healthy as well as the people. So some of the enabling platforms for that, so we see some things up here. So you've got all your different user interface devices that you know of, your phones, your watches, your computers, all of that. And you're really relying heavily on cloud technology. So everything in the DevOps and IoT world would be using direct cloud applications. And then again, you've got your gateway for your IoT, and then you can use all your different RFIDs. And then these are different things you could have, like even in your homes and things like that, right? So this is just sort of showing more of an example of one in a home. But you could have all different kinds of things in a DevOps environment with APIs and things like that as well. And of course, we've got all the enabling software. So all the different softwares that we're using today can also be used now with Internet of Things. There's becoming more and more applications that are not only in use on your computers and laptops, but that are also having apps for your watches and your phones and things like that, so that people can be a lot more independent. They can be a lot more mobile. And in turn, that they're a lot more happy and healthy. I mean, you could be on your treadmill and maybe answering, right, responding to things. So smart city frameworks. One thing I wanted to share with you about the technologies is that what it does, and this is really a visionary ecosystem, but there's many places that have actually built smart cities. This one is showing a smart city in India. There's also smart cities in Italy, in Padua, Italy, and other places where not only are all the buildings wired, the people are wired, There's boats that are wired. The trains are wired. So everything is all wired and connected together. And it really makes the city very smart and efficient because everyone's sharing data and everyone's sharing information. And they really are, becoming, a lot smarter in that sense. And their education system actually gets a lot better as well because not only do they have the data and all the information that's shared, but it's easily accessible to a lot of small devices. So for the children of these cities, then there's a lot more rapid growth and acceleration of their learning progress as well by having all this interconnectivity. And the DevOps smart city. So what does that mean to DevOps? So you could have a smart city for DevOps. It's really more like an ecosystem where you have all of your operations and development activities, not necessarily in silos, but actually in in an ecosystem where you're really sharing knowledge, and then you have the ability to connect rather than work in silos. Because that's actually one of the largest problems with DevOps environments today, especially for a lot of larger companies, is that people are working in silos and they don't really share information and they're not really operating in a larger ecosystem. So then that, the lack of collaboration and visibility that occurs then actually does end up hurting productivity. So in a perfect world here where you actually do have a lot more connectivity, a lot more sharing, a lot less silos, and information that is shared across different people in the organization, then you actually can work a lot more efficiently and have more time for innovation. So conclusion. So internet enables the DevOps culture by really allowing the blend of people, processes, technologies, and tools, right, and having the systems together. And then IoT enables a DevOps culture by having interconnections and data, using the analytics, using things together to actually have a lot more productivity and sharing things. And then again, it enables a DevOps culture by transparency and visibility. And finally, people are a lot more happy, a lot more productive, and a lot more healthy as well, because you can actually be doing other things. You can be more mobile while you're actually doing some of your work and doing some of your activities. So with that, thank you very much. If you have any questions, I have a couple minutes, but just wanted to, stay here for a moment if anyone has any questions for me. Oh. All right, well, thank you.